This was in Salt Lake City last week, and watch what the cops do. So there was a car on fire, and so this guy here is taking pictures of it. As he's taking pictures of it, the militarized cops roll up in their military vehicles and start cracking heads. They just out of nowhere, they just showed up, and watch what they do.
Now, Salt Lake City PD Rescue is just arriving here on the scene, also with a unit from West Valley City. Now, this is just in the area where this vehicle has been burning. You guys see it right here. Police officers starting to move some of the crowd.
What the guy with a cane. That's a guy with a cane. Was he also Antifa? Does he know what he's doing? Was he trying to get their police codes with his phone? The fuck is wrong with you? That's another guy. That's what cops like to do. Just so you know, that's
now,
what cops show up on the scene. Cops show up on the scene. This is an old guy. He was there taking pictures of a car that was burning, and all of a sudden they just decide to go at him. Like, watch these guys. Watch. And then he's got a cane in his hand. In his left hand, there's a cane, and he's trying to move as fast as he can, and they just boom, and he just goes flat.
Yeah, he looked like a threat, though, Jimmy.
He was a threat.
Did you see him? He was aggressive.
There's
the way
no
he was
one there.
Away.
There's no one there. But if you come dressed for a riot, guess what? You're going to try to start one. And that's what cops do. They come dressed for violence, and so there's violence. Why are they dressed like that? And so here's the guy in Buffalo. So watch this guy. So this is a guy who's been famous activist, right? He's been arrested 300 times or something by the cops because he's always protesting. He's always an activist. So he has a cop's helmet in his hand. He's walking up to them, and watch what happens. So he has the cop's helmet.
He is wicked.
And then they just walk right past him. They just walk right past him. He's literally bleeding from his ear already. He smacked his head on the concrete. He's bleeding from his ear. He's 75.
He's bleeding out of his ear. Get him better. Walking up on me.
Now they're over there fucking with this guy. They just start fucking with people. Why? Because they're dressed to go fuck with people. They're all amped up on steroids and adrenaline, and they can't wait to crack some people's heads. They got a fucking 75-year-old white guy, and they got this fucking guy, and they can't wait to rough him up. And then they come after the news people. Watch this.
Back up. Get off the steps. Let's go. Get back. Get back.
Better get an ambulance for him.
That's random.
We have EMT on scene.
And the news guy says, you better get an ambulance for that guy. And the cop goes, we got an EMT on the scene. So you want to see the other? Here? So here's a view from across the street. This is a view from across the street. You can hear his head hit the ground from across the street to the point where the cops turn. Watch this. You could hear his head. And now some people are saying that guy engineered that. He wanted that to happen.
Oh, yes, I've read that.
Could you be dumber on purpose? And Russia overthrew our election. Trump's working for Russia. You know how stupid you sound? That a 75-year-old guy did this on purpose? Why did they have to push him over? Because they're cops. And they're dressed for fucking fighting. And they're looking to fuck some people up. And the first guy they saw, they fucked him up. If that guy's a problem, why don't you take him, handcuff him, put him in the car? You're just going to brutalize him? Yes.
So what job is there, Jimmy, that you can brutalize somebody and
Police.
there are no consequences?
As the police.
Is there any other job that I can push somebody down and keep walking?
No. There's no other job in the world. So I'll show it to you once more. I'm going to show it to you again, just so you... They're just causing havoc. The cops are they don't even know what to do. They're just beating anyone that comes near them. They're just fucking with everyone. They're an out-of-control band of terrorists in your city. They have no idea what they're doing. They're out of their fucking minds. And guess what happened when those cops got fired and charged? Oh my God, there's a human being? There's a human being in the district attorney's office? But they know they're going to let him off anyway. The jury trial's not going to probably happen, or they're going to let him off. Like, believe me. So this is what happened when they're coming out of their being charged.
This happened just in the last hour. 2 police officers were charged with felony assault during a protest in Buffalo, and they were applauded by their colleagues as they left the courthouse. Officers Robert McCabe and Aaron Torgalski pleaded not guilty. They were released without bail, and we've been showing
Without bail.
There they are. Tough, very tough guy. Bad. If their 75-year-old guy is fucking with you, call these guys. They'll come crack his head open. If a 75-year-old dude is messing with you, frail, can barely walk, you could call these guys. They'll crack his head open, and then they'll keep walking. So what that's called is depraved indifference to human life. That's what that's called. That's called depraved indifference. They don't have no respect for the sanctity of human life. They push that guy aside like he was a fucking gnat. Fuck you. Go break your head. Just like those guys did in Salt Lake City. Guy's got a cane. Get back at. What are you, a Hell's Angel? Even a Hell's Angel wouldn't do that. Cops are more disgusting and more brutal than Hell's Angels. They're more criminal than Hell's Angels. And so what these cops did, what this does.
This happened just in the last hour. 2 police officers.
So once they say there's good cops, show them this video. Where's the good cop? They're all maniacs. They don't care if you think they're maniacs. They don't give a shit. They're doing this right in your fucking face. No shame. No shame. None. No shame. They're going to do whatever the fuck they feel like. And guess what? Here's Trump's big contribution to this. This fucking moron. Mm-hmm. What a fucking asshole this guy is.
Oh, boy.
Donald Trump goes, Buffalo protesters shoved by police could be an Antifa provocation. So what? Who gives a fuck? Maybe he's working for Russia. You think that? What if he's working for Russia? Should they shove him if he's working for Russia? You fucking asshole. He might be an Antifa provocateur. Yeah, but he wasn't provoking. You have to provoke. Was he breaking a window? Was he pointing a gun at a cop? Did he knife somebody? Or did he just walk up to a cop? That's not provoking. I know it's provoking. 75-year-old Martin Gugino was pushed away after appearing to scan police communications in order to block out the... Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's a regular James Bond villain. He was a regular James Bond villain, that 75-year-old Martin Gugino. He's going to jam the police fucking radios. You don't feel like then he doesn't, again, this is no shade. This is a guy who can gas fucking peaceful protesters so he can hold up a Bible. He didn't hold up the Constitution. You notice that, right? He didn't hold up the First Amendment or the Fourth. He was trying to scan in order to black out the equipment. OANN, which is a conservative news organization, I watched. He fell harder than was pushed. Could be a setup. Oh, yeah, that's what happened. That guy set a trap for those cops. That's what he did. Those cops fell right into his trap, brutalized him right in broad daylight on camera, cracked his head open, made blood fly out of his ear, knock him unconscious. And he is like, I got him. Cops fell for it. I'm almost dead. Donald Trump really hates fake news unless he's the one making it. You know that. In fairness, with Trump's hands being the size they are, he likely can't imagine pushing somebody over and them falling over. He's got such tiny hands. I bet Trump thought of this from his bunker while he was hiding from the country he's supposed to be leading. Imagine that you're the leader of a country, you have to go in your own bunker. This is Trump showing you he has quite an imagination. Too bad he can't imagine keeping the promise to end the wars he said he was going to end. Isn't that something? Didn't end any of them. Isn't that something? He bullshitted you. He upped the defense budget. He didn't cut it. He upped it. Bombed more people.
And the Dems helped him.
Boy, I got to tell you, if it could be, if it looked weird to Trump, and I guess it was, because nothing gets past that guy. I mean, whenever Trump is skeptical of somebody, he's usually right. Just ask the Central Park Five. Solid joke. Solid. I mean, Trump usually nails it with his theories. Just check out Obama's long-form birth certificate one. That panned out well, didn't it? So here's this. Now this guy tweets, okay, enough already with the peaceful protester in Buffalo being pushed down crap. Spin whore Maria Harf just threw him out again. Martin Gugino is a 75-year-old longtime radical protester that has been arrested over 300 times for his radical troublemaking, 82 times for inciting. Screw this old guy. He's got a long history of, check notes, not wanting innocent people to get slaughtered in pointless wars. Fuck that guy. So just so you know, what this guy's saying is, if you knock over a 75-year-old guy, crack his head open, and he bleeds from his ear and he's unconscious, has to go to the hospital, and you do it in broad daylight when that guy is zero threat to you, and you later find out that he's an activist, then it's okay. The cops didn't. So the cops either knew he was an activist and knew he was no threat because he's a fucking peace activist, or they knew, or they didn't know who he was. And so what does it matter what his fucking history is? They didn't know what his history was, or they did, and that makes it worse, actually. So this is a ridiculous, just to let you know, it's a ridiculous bootlicking mental gymnastics. Enough with the peaceful students protesting that were shot on campus crap. That's what he would have said if he was on Twitter during Kent State. Do you know that some of those kids shot at Kent State, they got speeding tickets? Someone said, Jimmy, don't double down on all cops. We need law and order, but the animals that are wreaking havoc need to be dealt with. At first, I thought she was talking about cops, and she's not.
No.
I thought she was talking about cops.
I thought.
So I had to retweet her, and I said, there is no such thing as a good cop or a bad cop. It's a depraved culture, and nothing exemplifies it more than this videotape. And then all those cops applauding and resigning over it. When a bad cop cracked the head of a 75-year-old on the concrete, the rest of the good cops resigned in solidarity with criminally abusive maniac cops. You see, they're all part of depraved criminal police culture. And if you're not one of those, you leave the police force. And if you don't have depraved indifference and you don't cover for your criminal friends on the force, you leave. Or you do that, or you cover for them. There's no such thing. So she was asked several times because she said her dad was a cop. Well, did your dad ever? How many cops did your dad ever turn in for criminality? No answer.
Ah.
She goes, "I love you, Jimmy. I love you too." Right back, Alice. But please look into the 75-year-old and not fall into propaganda. I'm definitely not left or right, but this has to stop. What has to stop? 75-year-old men walking up to a cop has to stop? 75-year-old guys walking up to a cop has to stop? The fuck is wrong with you? I guess we know what's wrong with you.
You know, Jimmy, don't fall for the propaganda of the guy falling and knocking himself unconscious because the police pushed him down and then blood was everywhere. I mean, don't fall
for it. Mm-hmm. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it?
Maybe she meant don't fall for it and hurt yourself.
Don't fall for it and hurt yourself. You're not left or right, but you're definitely as dumb as a cop. If you believe that, like, you're not embarrassed. Like, they're not embarrassed. It's unbelievable. And then it's James Hanna, who I'm friends with on Twitter. He also said, awkward doesn't begin to describe it, meaning the way that guy fell. It's like he was trying to slam his head as hard as possible. What in the fuck is wrong with people?
I read that one.
Who in the fuck?
How do you come up with that?
Did you see that cop punch that guy in the face? That guy moved his face into the cop's fist as hard as he could. He wanted it. What is wrong with these people? What happened that you think like that? He approaches them right as they start marching, and he was hanging around there waiting to start shit. Yeah, he didn't start shit, though. He didn't start shit. If he would have walked up and hit a cop or threw a rock at him or pulled out a knife or a club or fucking maced them, that would have been starting shit. You don't get to crack a guy's head open on the concrete because you fucking feel like it. That's why they're charged with a felony assault. And who charged them? Not fucking me. The district attorney, is he also falling for it? The district attorney in Buffalo, he's also falling for it. They never, ever prosecute cops, and they're prosecuting them there, and we're falling for it? Jesus Christ, do you have any self-fucking respect? This guy says, I love these guys, goes, then there's this view of that from across the street, showing how he hits his head so hard that everybody in the plaza gasps and looks. I showed you that video. I'll show you again. Find me a stuntman, any age, willing to duplicate this stunt without mats or safety equipment and get back to me. Show me a stuntman, he'll do that. But this guy, 75-year-old guy, oh no, I'm going to go crack my head as hard as I fucking can. What is... So what you're saying is this guy did this on purpose. Watch, he's going to try and hit his head as hard as he can. He did that on purpose. What in the fuck? Find me a stuntman. Find me a stuntman, any age, willing to duplicate this stunt without mats or safety equipment and get back to me. Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?